Another big night from the offense helps the Mariners avoid getting swept in Cincinnati. Our thoughts on the 8-4 win coming up here on the Locked On Mariners postgame show. Colby, hit it.
You are Locked On Mariners, your daily Seattle Mariners podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Ahoy, sailors. It is Wednesday, September 6, 2023. This is Trident Gonzalez and Colby Patnode for the Locked On Mariners postgame show brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 back in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com/locked on. That's LOCKDON to get started. Thank you so much for making us your first listen after the game. Subscribe, like, and turn on alerts if you're watching on YouTube, or subscribe and leave a 5-star review on your preferred podcast platform if you like what you hear. And if you're part of the crew and rock with us every single day, let us know in the comments below. And if you want to hear from us even more, please consider signing up for our Patreon. You can now get a free 7-day trial to check out the show. The link, as well as our social accounts, is in the description of this episode. 8-4, the final score from Cincinnati. The Mariners are back in the win column and avoid getting swept by the Reds. Colby, your thoughts on the game? We're finally talking about a win. Feels good.
Are we though? Are we? Did you watch the ninth? Ty, did you watch the ninth?
He told me before we got on here, I said, hey, this show's not going to be depressing. And he was like, don't try me. And
I can make it depressing. Guaranteed.
Yeah. Oh, come on.
Anyways.
You hate fun. You hate fun.
Yeah. I'm sure the comment section would agree with you, but
yes. Chant it with me. You hate fun. You hate fun.
Whatever gets people to comment, it's good for the YouTube algorithm. Anyways, I thought
Please do leave a comment below, by the way.
Sure. Maybe be positive about it, but I understand that not everybody can be as cheery.
Be positive about me, not him.
I mean,
you can do whatever you want.
I understand people. Not everybody has my sunny disposition, but whatever.
Right.
Yeah, kind of it was a good night for the offense. There's no doubt about that. You put up 8 runs, it's a good night. It doesn't matter how you do it. You put up 8. And you kind of did it a little bit differently today, though, because Julio Rodriguez with a big fat offer, he did not carry the offense tonight, which is a nice little twist to show that you want Julio to carry. Like last night was fun, but you'd rather have 0 for 5 and the Mariners win than 3 for 4 with 2 homers and the Mariners lose. And the way that the Mariners were able to do that today without any kind of without any contribution really from Julio is Cal Raleigh went 3 for 4, walked. He reached base 4 times. Teoscar Hernandez reached base 3 times. Eugenio had a couple hits today, which after his first mostly day off the other day, which is good to see. And then you got some Ty France is probably the star of this game, which is fantastic to see because as much as we may rag on Ty France, and don't get me wrong, I still don't think he should be on this roster next year. And I still, think the Mariners should look to do better. He was huge tonight. He had a big 10 pitch walk that came right before the Mike Ford 2-run homer to kind of kick off the scoring. He had a big RBI double, and then he added an RBI single for a little bit of extra insurance run there in the what was that, the 7th? So Ty France kind of carried. You had 4 Mariners and multiple hits tonight. You have Raleigh, Teoscar, Gino, and France, and that's how it's supposed to look. And then you get a little bit from everybody else. Rojas drew a walk, scored a run. JP Crawford, Rojas is at bat, by the way. Very good at bat.
Yep.
So that was good to see because his at bats recently have been a little suspect, but that was a good one. JP Crawford, a big 3-run homer. He's at 15 home runs now, which is just insane. Outside shot at 20. And as I mentioned before, Mike Ford with the big 2-run homer. So today, your all-stars carried you, but it wasn't your superstar. And that's good to see that Julio can have an offer and the rest of the guys just pick him up and continue to because for a while there, even when the offense was going good, it felt like it was the Julio and Teoscar show. And then whatever you were getting from everybody else was a bonus. Well, today was the opposite. And Teo's still doing his thing. I mean, he's almost at 270 now. Like his numbers are basically what they were last year.
Yeah. First inning, he extends the inning streak to 15 games, which ties a career high for him. So he's continuing to stay hot. It wasn't just the month of August, and obviously, flipping the calendar doesn't automatically make you suck all of a sudden. But
Tell that
this
to
team,
the Mariners road trip, but sure.
yeah. The Mariners have hit a little bit of a brick wall as of late, but
Directly on September 1. So
yeah, very
whatever.
very weird indeed. But at least that hasn't those struggles haven't come for Teo. He's been fantastic at the plate.
I don't know if you saw this, Ty. Do you know that Cal Raleigh is a 4-win player right now?
Yeah.
You know, JP Crawford's probably going to finish as a 5-win player on B-War.
Yeah. I saw today he's the first Mariners shortstop to secure 4.5 wins since A-Rod in 2000?
2000, yeah. I mean, not a ton of stiff competition there. It's basically Guillen and
do not disrespect Unieski Betancourt.
And just think of the
and Brendan Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, Brendan was awesome, but
defensively,
yeah, I mean so is Jack Wilson, but Ryan had the little league triple, so that counts.
True.
Or was it inside? It was a triple, but yeah. So the Mariners are getting good production from other guys. It's not just Julio. JP Crawford's having a career year. Cal Raleigh, it's only his second full year, so you hesitate to call it a career year, but it is right now. He's gonna, break his personal home run record. He's on base percentage is up about 20-30 points from where it was last year. The average is maintained. There are legitimate, I would say there's probably 3 legitimate like all-star quality players in your lineup right now. And they're all homegrown, and JP, we'll count them, but like they're all homegrown. They're all performing right now. They're all having in a lot of ways.
Only the Phillies get credit for JP Crawford's development.
Yes, because as we know, development stops at the major league level, which is why JP was a pretty consistent 4.5-win player for the Phillies.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah,
I mean, he was supposed to be at one point.
That was the plan.
Yep.
But yeah, overall the offense was really good tonight. They scored in bunches. 5-run fourth kind of carries the day, but yeah, a lot more good at bats. That's been kind of an issue the last few days. They just haven't strung together a lot of good at bats. They chased a lot. Today they weren't incredible. They struck out 7 times, but they also drew 5 walks. So it's a pretty good CTZ number that you like. And yeah, it was a good night for the offense. It was a good enough night for the pitching staff. I don't want to give, I don't want to give Logan too much credit. I know we're going to talk about him in a minute here. Because he did do something that, some Mariner starters haven't done the last few days, and we'll talk about that. But it was good to see the bullpen bounce back, kind of, except for Andres a little bit.
It seemed like he was trying to work in that slider, right?
He got some whiffs on it.
You come in with a 5-run lead, try it for a couple of batters at least, and see what happens.
Right. And then, once it kind of, I don't want to say he lost it, but once he felt like the game was getting a little bit too tight, he just went right for the heat. But he got some whiffs. He got 3 whiffs on the slider out on 5 swings. So Munoz was okay, but it was good to see Topa get right back out there and deliver quick. It was a very Justin Topa-like inning. It was good to see Gabe Spire go out there after he had a rough outing in New York, I believe it was. So it was good to see these guys go out there and just be what they have been all year, right? We don't need them to be better than they've been. Just be that, and you'll be just fine. And so it was good to see those guys go out there and get the job done. But overall, it's a solid win. It feels like one you needed. But
you needed it. Yeah, absolutely. Because you lose this game, especially after last night, especially like in the fashion that they would have had to lose tonight. It would have been another blown lead. You needed to finish this thing off convincingly, just to get back on the horse here, just because you don't want to let this thing snowball, because then you start to get in your head a little bit here. The teams behind you are hanging around or they're catching up, and now maybe you start to press a little bit. Guys start to do or try to do a little too much, whether it be at the plate, whether it be on the mound, whatever. Right. So you just don't want guys to kind of get out of their groove here and get into a funk, and continue playing your ball. Don't step out of your comfort zone. Just keep doing what you've been doing for the last month plus, And I think that this win helps you, right? Because you don't want to fall into a situation here like the Rangers have found themselves in right now. Because the Rangers right now, they're in hell. They're in baseball hell.
They're about to drop their, I think, 12th of the last 16. Like,
yeah.
That's
and again, their
avoid.
whole second half has been painfully mediocre at best.
Right, until the last 2 weeks. And then it's just they've been bad. They've been objectively bad. Yeah, and you don't want that to be you. And it easily could, because we've talked about this. Tampa Bay is a very good team, and you have 4 games against them, and your bullpen's a little beat up right now. There's no reason to deny that. And the Angels, while they're a shell of what they were the last time you played them, they're still a division rival. They still play you very well. And then you have the Dodgers, who are, they got swept by Miami, so they're going through a little bit of a funk right now too, but they're arguably the second best team in the National League in all of baseball, for that matter. So yeah, the difference between getting swept and just dropping one game in a series to go 2-1, pretty massive, especially when we're down to the last, I think, 23 games of the season. Like, you have to avoid sweeps, even when you're not playing well. You have to find a way to steal one here and there. And you have to find a way to win series that you should win. So even if you're not playing well when you face the Angels, you need to find a way to win that series.
Very good win. Very good win. Absolutely needed it. Let's talk more about this pitching staff. Let's talk about Logan Gilbert here in just a moment. But first, a reminder, this episode of the Locked On Mariners postgame show is brought to you by LinkedIn. Are you struggling to close deals? Cold outreach is wasting the time of both the buyer and seller at every stage, especially when sellers are using shallow and outdated data. Your organization can overcome these challenges with technology that translates comprehensive, high-quality buyer data into real-time insights. These deeper insights empower sales reps and teams to adopt habits of top performers, which leads to better outcomes like more pipeline, higher win rates, and larger deals. We call this deep sales, and we built the first deep sales platform with the next generation of LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Right now, you can try LinkedIn Sales Navigator and get a 60-day free trial at linkedin.com/lockedon. That is linkedin.com/LOCKEDON for a 60-day free trial. Let LinkedIn Sales Navigator help you sell like a superstar today. Just go to linkedin.com/lockedon and get started. You're listening to the Locked On Mariners postgame show. Thank you so much for making us your first listen after the Mariners 8-4 win over the Cincinnati Reds. The Mariners begin a 4-game series with the Tampa Bay Rays tomorrow. You can catch all the action on the Mariners hometown broadcast with SiriusXM via the SXM app. And after the game, you can catch us back here for the Locked On Mariners postgame show. We're probably just going to do postgame shows for the rest of the week with the weird start times. It doesn't seem to really make sense for us to drop an episode only like a couple hours before the game is going to start for you guys. So
back to the normal schedule when Seattle gets back home.
Holy moly, your face is so blown out right now.
I know. I was like,
oh, that's better. There you go.
But look, I moved my hand. I'm just gonna keep my hand right here to add some contrast. There we go.
There we go. That works.
Keep my hand here.
Now you're just in the dark, but that's fine. That's better.
You could see my lighting get progressively worse as the sun's going down.
Yeah.
And so at that point, I was just, if you guys aren't watching, I was like glowing, like super white.
He was glowing. I mean, he was just he's been elevated. He's ascended after watching this Mariners offense the last 2 days.
Easy.
Sure. All right, let's talk about Logan Gilbert. Decent night. Not a great night, but you know what? If you can actually get outs after the last few days, if you can actually put some guys away in 2 straight counts, great outing in my book. 5 1/3 innings pitched for Gilbert, 3 earned runs, 7 hits, 9 strikeouts, just 2 walks. The Mariners tonight struck out 13 hitters, and they walked 3.
Yep.
That is very good after what's been happening on this road trip. So yes, we will take that. We will take that all day long. But overall, what did you think about Gilbert?
It was very Bryce Miller-ish in yesterday, where there was just traffic and like they had to make a lot of big pitches to get out of some jams. But Logan was able to get whiffs today. And, whiffs, why are whiffs so important? Why did Ty and I talk about them so much? They're strikes in which in which there's no damage afflicted, right? Like if you hit a home run, you still threw a strike technically. So not all strikes are created equal. Whiffs are strikes that don't hurt you. So Logan had 17 today on 45 swings. That's 38%. That's pretty good. That's a pretty good number. And the Reds were being really aggressive with Logan. Still a couple instances where he gave up a couple 2-strike hits, whatever. That's going to happen. But the last few days, it's been noticeable how often that has been happening. So Logan had to, find a way to put guys away, and he did. Tonight, his best pitch was probably the splitter. Got 5 whiffs on 9 swings, and he threw it in the strike zone quite often. Didn't get a ton of calls, which, Cal didn't have an amazing day behind the plate. Took a couple splitters out of the strike zone that were definitely strikes, but he was able to threaten the strike zone with it at the very least, which is what you need to do with that splitter. And then expand. He dropped the knuckle curve, 12 times, got 3 whiffs on 5 swings. That's a good number. And then, the four-seam fastball didn't generate a lot of whiffs, but 40% called strike plus whiff rate on that four-seamer. So it was a good effective pitch for Logan tonight, even though it didn't get a ton of swing and misses. So overall, I would say Logan was fine. He was better in New York.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a little more Bryce Miller-ish, where it's just like you're just grinding through innings, and but you found a way to avoid damage. So like Logan definitely pitched better than Bryce Miller did yesterday, despite Miller having, the better slash line, which again is why we talk about all the time. Don't box score scout pitchers in particular. Because if you just did that, you'd be like, oh, well, Miller was better than Gilbert. Nope. Gilbert was significantly better. And after the 5-run inning, there were some times where Gilbert was like, let's not walk a guy here. Let's put this down the middle and beg the guy to do damage on it. And the Reds, for the most part, did. Brash came in, cleaned up Logan's mess, and the rest is history. But overall, I would say Logan's outing was adequate. It was certainly the best outing you got in the series, but it was far from spectacular. And, you really wish you could have finished out that 5th inning or the 6th inning.
Right. Hey, hats off to the Reds though. They were a really tough out, and some of that obviously on the Mariners pitching staff, but this is a really talented offense with a lot of young, talented bats. I can say this now that we're out of this series and we're no longer playing against him. It sucked because it was against us, but Noel V, it's really cool to see Noel V. Marte having some success at the big league level. I was a big fan of his coming up in the Mariners farm system, so that was really cool to see overall. And I really like the Reds in general. Like they're kind of my National League team this year. They're right, but they're fun. They're fun with Ellie and Spencer Steer. I really like Spencer Steer, by the way. He's a good player. Encarnacion Strand and TJ Friedel. Like, yeah, they run. Like they're a fun ball club. They're a fun offense. That pitching staff is it's bad, but obviously they've been hit by a lot of COVID issues as well. So we didn't see them at full strength, but they're still, not a good pitching staff. But yeah, that offense is a lot of fun, man. And they gave a really good Mariners pitching staff a run for their money. Obviously, a Mariners pitching staff that was not performing at its highest level, but still. So yeah, hats off to those guys. We'll see if they're able to make the playoffs. You talked about them a little bit here earlier. I just want to give another shout out though to the Mariners bullpen, especially after what happened last night, to be able to bounce back tonight with a really good performance. Matt Brash, who he did give up the single when he first came in, but to work out of a bases loaded jam, that was great. Gabe Spire with a nice bounce back inning. Justin Topa with a nice bounce back inning. This bullpen was really good tonight, and even Munoz for the most part. I mean, like he did, give up the home run and he did walk the guy, but he went to that fastball and was able to put these guys away and didn't make it any more interesting than it needed to be tonight. So, hopefully that's a good sign of things to come here for this bullpen, because they're going to need them. They're going to need them, man. Because last night you score 6 runs. You should be able to win that game. Like, I know that the offense missed out on some opportunities as well to add more runs onto the board, but still, when you score 6 runs, you should be able to win that game, especially with what this pitching staff can be. So hopefully we don't experience too many more nights like that one, and we get to see more nights like this one from this Mariners bullpen. So again, overall, good win for the Mariners tonight. Good stuff, mostly from the pitching staff. And let's talk more about this offense. I want to talk more about JP Crawford because, man, he's he just keeps killing it at the plate. I don't know. I feel like this year we felt like eventually he was going to regress at some point, right? Because he always has. He's had hot months in previous years, but then he kind of falls off for a couple months, has another good month, and then kind of is just about league average for the rest of the way. JP might be the guy I trust the most in this lineup, and that's saying something, because there's a lot of really talented hitters in here, but JP being that guy consistently, awesome. And now he's hitting for power. It's amazing. So we're going to talk more about him in just a moment. But first, a reminder, this episode of the Locked On Mariners postgame show is brought to you by FanDuel. Get ready for the NFL season with incredible offers from FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 back in bonus bets guaranteed. Plus, all customers who bet $5 will get $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Now is the best time to join FanDuel. The app is easy to use, and you can be in on everything from spreads to player props and more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon. That's LOCKDON. Kick off the NFL season with an offer you won't want to miss. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. And you're listening to the Locked On Mariners postgame show. Thank you again for making us your first listen after the Mariners 8-4 win over the Cincinnati Reds. Again, the Mariners begin a 4-game series with the Tampa Bay Rays down in Tampa, Florida. Tomorrow, you can catch all the action on the Mariners hometown broadcast with SiriusXM via the SXM app. And after the game, you can catch us here on the Locked On Mariners postgame show. So, JP Crawford hit his 15th home run. He's already surpassed his career high in home runs, but he hit his 15th home run of the season tonight. Absolutely crushed it. 3-run bomb that made it 6-1 Mariners, I believe.
Yep.
And I got to ask you, man, is he going to get to 20?
He might. He's got some work to do. He's got to get 5 dingers in 23 games.
Well, he's hit 4 in the last 9 games, 10 games.
Sure.
3 on this road trip.
Yes, and while I appreciate, John Power Crawford doing his thing, I would also trade a couple of those homers for like more 3 for 4 days, or like 2 for 5 with a walk type of days. But yeah, obviously power hitting JP is not something that anybody really had on their bingo card. And also, we've talked about, JP's had a hot month here and there, and then he's cooled down, and then he's been about average. Last year, JP was objectively bad, really, from like June until the end of the year. He was not a good hitter, really, at any stretch. He had a very good first 2 months, and then he was one of the worst qualified everyday hitters in baseball, basically from June 1st on last year. So, to take advantage, I don't know if he can do this again. Like, is JP just going to be a guy now who puts 270, 380, 415 with 20 home runs every single year for the rest of his career? I bet probably not. But for now, this is great, and this might
try him.
This might be his career year offensively, and so you want to take advantage of that and get JP into the playoffs when he's having what could be his career year.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's been fantastic. I think he's got a shot at 20. The number I'm looking at more as like he's might have a legit shot to get there is probably the 400 on base. I think he's at like 382 right now.
Yeah.
And obviously, 400 on base percentage is insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the number that I care about, I guess I would say. But yeah, JP's just been spectacular this year. I don't know how many shortstops have ever had, 20 home runs, 400 on base percentage seasons in Major League history. But I'm going to guess that list is mostly Ernie Banks, A-Rod, Cal Ripken. Like, I'm going to guess that's a pretty elite list of guys who've done that. And JP's got a shot. So Crawford has been everything you could possibly hope for offensively. And if he finishes the year hot, he might steal, like a 10th place down ballot MVP vote or something like that. I wouldn't be shocked if he popped up on somebody's ballot, because he's got a shot to finish the year as a 5-win player. And that's counting in the fact that the defensive metrics don't love him. And we know that the metrics are wrong. Like, JP is not the worst defensive. Yeah. He's not the worst defensive shortstop in baseball. Stop with that. No. Is he a Gold Glover? No, I don't think he is. But is he at least average? Yes, he's definitely at least average. Probably slightly above. And so you add that with the fact that he's, might have a 400 on base. He might hit 20 home runs, and that he has been the most consistent player for the Mariners from game 1 to game, 162. There's some legitimate, there's some legitimate discussion to be had if JP is maybe the most valuable player on the Mariners this year. Probably not. Julio's Julio's
Julio, but
but I mean, post July, it's been like, I mean, it's a sight to see.
It's possibly the greatest player on planet Earth right now. Like,
sure, right?
Yeah.
So it's like him or Mookie Betts, but
yeah, Mookie is amazing.
Yeah,
except for BR Walkoff, who thinks that Mookie Betts doesn't even exist.
Yeah, I think that's because he's played a lot of second base this year.
He's played more in right field though. He's qualified way more in right field than second base.
Yeah, that's an insane list. Mookie Betts is the best right fielder in baseball.
Also, Aaron Judge 10. I'm sorry, but Aaron
I get he's been 10. Hurt, but come on.
Yeah, like
no.
Anyway,
Betts is probably the best athlete in all of baseball. He's a fantastic bowler. He's a fantastic football player. Like he routes guys up.
Yeah.
Like he'll route up NFL DBs. Like he's a great basketball player. You see what he does on the baseball field. Like dude's a freak. And Julio has basically been that. I don't know if Julio's can route up dudes on a crosser. I don't know if he's burning.
I'd like to see it.
I don't know if he's burning Tariq Woolen or anything like that, but Julio has basically been Mookie Betts since July 1. Like just normal year Mookie, not this god level Mookie. And we talked about this last year too. After his April struggles, he had the same WRC plus as Mookie Betts did. Like, Betts might be the comp for Julio. They do it a little differently, but
right.
I mean, that's what we're talking about here. So it's like JP most years, like it'd be an easy decision.
Julio at second base. That's what we're saying.
Let's not do that. In fact, let's start talking about moving Julio to right field at some point, just to keep the legs a little fresher. But it's JP is having kind of, I don't want to say a forgotten season, but it's just being overshadowed by what was an incredible, what was a very good July, what was an incredible August from, one of the faces of Major League Baseball. Otherwise, we'd be talking about JP a heck of a lot more. And I don't think the Mariners are ever going to label a player as their captain, but we all know who it is, right? There's no debate. Nobody out there saying, the Mariners were going to name a captain tomorrow, they should name Julio. Nobody is saying that.
No,
not even Julio
JP.
would say that. It's JP.
Yeah.
JP is JP. The guy.
And Kyle Seager kind of passed that like torch to him, right? As like,
because Kyle Seager definitely earned it.
I know that was going to get a response out of you, but still, that was kind of that moment that we saw there. And I think JP even said that was kind of what that was. And he's taken on that role and just ran with it. I know that, a lot of teams, they don't put the C on the chest anymore. I know Salvi got that recently with Kansas City, but he's been there for forever.
Right.
I don't know, man. Don't wait. If you're going to do it, don't wait. Just put the C on his chest, man. He has earned it. He is the captain of the team.
I don't think they're ever going to do it, and I'm fine. I'm fine with them choosing not to do that. But if you are going to do it, like to any player right now, it's JP. JP is the guy.
Absolutely, JP.
Yeah, he embodies what the Mariners want to be about, and it's no disrespect to Julio. Julio can, to borrow an analogy that I know some of you guys, some of you guys might like. The 95 Mariners, right?
Oh, God.
Griffey is still Griffey, and he's still the favorite, and he is, and Julio is Julio, and he's still the favorite.
Yeah.
But Jay Buhner is the captain, and he's overlooked sometimes for his contributions, and that's what JP Crawford is. JP Crawford is kind of the Jay Buhner to Julio's Griffey, although I think it's safe to say completely different personalities between JP and the Bone, but you get the idea. Like your best player.
Someone get JP to say trucks, and more trucks.
Yeah, that's right. Tell him JP sent you.
Yeah, tell him the Crawdaddy sent you.
The P stands for power.
Yeah.
By the way, I feel like we made that up.
The P stands for power, maybe.
I feel like that's us. Like we had that first, but I don't know.
If you want to take credit for it, whatever. Go.
Well, I don't. I just sell some merch with it, but I don't want to get copywritten. So, but I feel like we were the first ones to tweet that. I can't prove it. If you guys know, let us know because I give credit where it's due. But I feel like the P stands for power is like a CTZ original. They're pretty close to it, at least.
So the Rangers are going to lose.
Yeah.
Right now they're down 12. They're down 12-3.
How many runs did they give up this series? It's 14 yesterday, right?
They might have given up 40.
It's 14 yesterday, I think 12 today so far.
Didn't they give up double-digit runs in the first game too?
I think they gave up like 10.
Hold on. Let's see. Let's see real quick.
By the way, they threw Eovaldi and Scherzer in 2 of these games.
Yeah.
And Gray in the other one, right?
And I think Gray. Yeah.
So
yeah. So they've given up 39 runs. They gave up 13 on Monday, 14 yesterday, and now 12.
I'm not saying that Houston's not good, but it might be time to examine and again, that's like Gray. It was Gray, Eovaldi, Scherzer, right? Those are the 3 starters.
Let me confirm. It was definitely Eovaldi yesterday, and who they
Scherzer
rushed back
today.
without a rehab assignment, which, Nathan Eovaldi, obviously the beacon of health.
Genius front office.
Yeah, gotta rush that guy back.
Got to give Chris Young a lot of credit. He sure spent a lot of money. That makes him smart.
Oh man, yeah, dude. Wow. Yeah, they're in baseball hell. Like they're actually, like I don't want to get too far ahead of myself here, but they've helped the Mariners a lot here. They've covered the Mariners, for not playing the best ball lately.
Right. We'll see if they make the playoffs. I still think they have a shot, and I think they can turn this around somewhat because it is a talented roster. There's no denying that. But man, that pitching staff.
It was Heaney on Monday, by the way. Yeah.
That pitching staff though, in the bullpen.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, how's Cole Reagan's doing? Oh. It's funny what you could have had if you didn't trade for somebody who, did something I can't say on YouTube because we might get demonetized.
Yeah. That is a terrible trade for the Texas Rangers.
It's terrible they made it.
Terrible trade.
Yeah, you made your bed. Go lie in it. We'll see if the Rangers can turn it around. I still think they might. I think they have a shot, but
they still have time. They're still they're going to be
23 games left. Yeah, they're only 2 back of the division.
Yeah,
they're I think 1 up still on Toronto. So they're not in terrible spot, but
yeah,
they're playing. They're going to play themselves out of it here in the next few days.
The Mariners are going to be +2 on the Rangers.
The +2 or +1.5?
They're going to be +2 on the Rangers.
Okay.
Right now, if you look at the standings with Toronto, it says that the Mariners are +1.5 on Toronto, but keep in mind they have the tiebreaker on Toronto because they split the season series. So it goes to intra-divisional record. The Mariners have a better record against AL West teams than the Blue Jays have against AL East teams. Now, that might not matter if there's a 3-way tie. There might be some other tiebreakers that make it where Toronto ends up winning the tiebreak. Who knows? If that becomes a thing, we'll cross that bridge if we ever get to it. Hopefully, we never do. But yeah,
my suggestion would be just have a better record than Toronto and Texas at the end of the year.
Sounds like a good strategy.
I'm no baseball genius, but I'm pretty sure that's how you get into the playoffs. So
yeah,
might be worth looking into, Jerry.
So yeah,
you know what else might be worth looking into? Getting a reliever.
Paul Sewald, the return.
Couldn't afford Andrew Chafin, huh? Who went for peanuts?
The return of Paul Sewald this winter.
That's gonna hit so hard.
It's gonna hit so hard.
Josh Rojas it's gonna be Josh Rojas and Ryan Bliss for Christian Walker and Paul Sewald.
I love Josh. I want Josh to stay. I like
Joshy
Josh
boy's
Rojas.
fine.
Yeah, Joshy Rojas. Baseball is life.
So let me get this straight. Ty is saying he would rather have Josh Rojas than Paul Sewald.
Well, I'm just saying if please get Paul Sewald without having to trade.
Ty would rather have Josh Rojas. Ty clearly thinks that Paul Sewald is a bad person. Confirmed. We've sussed that out.
All
Ty
right.
was giddy when they traded Paul. He's like, good. I don't like that guy. He's too perfect.
Jeez.
Or whatever his
Wow.
reason
What
was.
are you doing to me right now on the show?
I'm taking us way over the time limit. So
Yeah, that is what we're doing. Or that's what you're doing more specifically. All right, that's gonna do it for our show. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Locked On Mariners postgame show. It wouldn't be Locked On Mariners if it didn't get unhinged by the end of the show. Be sure to give us a follow on Twitter at @LO_Mariners. You can follow me at Dane Gonzalez. It's DANEGNZLZ, and Colby at CPAT11. That's CPAT11. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok as well over at Locked On Mariners. That's one word, Locked On Mariners. You can also find all that stuff in the description of this episode. Thank you again for making us your first listen after the game. Again, you can catch the Mariners and the Rays tomorrow on the Mariners hometown broadcast with SiriusXM via the SXM app. And then you can catch us after the game here on the Locked On Mariners postgame show. So we'll see you then. Have yourself a beautiful baseball day. Peace.